My name is Gavin Evans, and this is a video on my thoughts on the announcement of Beetlejuice 2. I'm staying late at work today, working on some school stuff, and I hear they're making a Beetlejuice 2, and I have some thoughts, so let's talk about it. I love the original Beetlejuice. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. Michael Keaton should have won an Oscar for that movie. He is just perfect in it. It's also got this amazing vision behind it, unlike anything else. The practical effects, for the most part, age really well. Maybe not the sand monster, but everything else does. And for a comedy that makes me laugh as hard as it does, it also really freaks me out. Like, I know it's not a typical horror movie, but there's some images in this movie that really do stay with me, that haunt me. Like, what they do to their bodies, it freaks me out. But they've been talking about making a Beetlejuice 2 for quite some time, and it's an idea I've never loved. Because the first movie feels at home in the 80s. It's got that 80s charm to it. They relied on practical effects, and I feel like if they made it nowadays, they would use CGI, and I feel like with this kind of movie, it would look really ugly. On top of that, it's a comedy, and comedy sequels don't typically do good. Like 22 Jump Street, Wayne's World 2, Christmas Vacation. I'm sure there's a couple other good comedy sequels, but I can't think of any. And most of them come out shortly after the original. These comedy sequels that come out a long time after the original, like Anchorman 2, Dumb and Dumber 2, Zoolander 2, they're always shit. They're always bad and never worth watching. So I feel like that might be the case here. And even though I'm glad Michael Keaton would come back for this movie, he's also an older man. Like, he's still a great actor. He was good in Spider-Man Homecoming. He was good in The Founder and Boardman. And I haven't seen that Dope Sick show of his, but I hear he's good in it. But I don't know if he can capture that same energy that he had in the 80s. Winona Ryder's supposed to come back, and I thought she was good in the first season of Stranger Things. But there's been a few other things I've seen her in recently, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know if she's got any more. Alec Baldwin, well, I hope he doesn't come back. Otherwise, I'm not going to make a very obvious joke, but he should be in jail, honestly. Gina Davis, what's Gina Davis even up to? But they've only confirmed Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder, and if they have it well, Winona Ryder dies and Beetlejuice is after her in the afterlife, I think that could be a great idea, and I think that could bring potential. But if you're going to do it, you gotta bring back Tim Burton. No one can replicate that style like he can. Henry Selick, I love him as a filmmaker. Coraline is one of my favorite movies ever. I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. I enjoy James and the Giant Peach. And yes, I even enjoy Monkey Bone. I know, controversial opinion. But speaking of Monkey Bone, you can tell that he's trying to replicate lots of Tim Burtonisms, and he doesn't pull it off as good because only Tim Burton can do Tim Burton. And I just don't think anyone can capture that style and that imagination like he can. And I'm not even sure if Tim Burton himself can anymore. Like, he is one of my favorite directors ever. I love his two Batman movies. I love Edward Scissorhands. That's one of my favorite movies ever. Beetlejuice is another one of my favorite movies ever. I love Corpse Bride. I love Frankenweenie, which never gets talked about among his best movies. I love Ed Wood, Big Fish. Sleepy Hollow is good. Yeah, I can't think of too many other ones I like by him. And in the past decade has definitely been his downfall. I didn't care for Dark Shadows, even though I don't think it's as bad as people say. I didn't like the first Alice in Wonderland. I didn't like Big Fish all that much. I didn't like Miss Pilgrim's Home for Peculiar Children. I didn't like Dumbo. And I hate saying it, but the Tim Burton I once loved just isn't the same Tim Burton. So you can't replace him with anyone else. I don't know if he can do it anymore. And it's part of what Tim Burton brought to the original that made me love it so much. Look, if they make it, I hope it's great. I hope I watch it, I'm like, that's hilarious and terrifying and just something that brought me back to the 80s. Because we don't get movies like Beetlejuice anymore. And I would love for it to be good. I've just got serious doubts about it. I'll keep my eye on it. It's just, I love the first movie so much. Like, it is probably in my top 20 favorite movies ever. I love it. It's fantastic. I've already talked about why I love it, but for them to go back and do a sequel after all this time, it's a risk, and usually these kind of risks don't pay off, but I'd be happy to be wrong. So those are my thoughts on the announcement of Beetlejuice 2. What are your thoughts on the announcement of Beetlejuice 2? Are you excited for it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out. I gotta press